Hello, everyone. Sorry for being a couple minutes late. First time ever that I've been late, so I don't feel too bad about it. So, welcome to this morning's live stream. I'm very happy to be here today, and I hope you are too. Today, we are going to discuss the benefits of compassion. Okay, so, and we're going to draw from both Buddhist lines and the scientific evidence a little bit. Okay, we only have half an hour, so our time is necessarily a little bit limited. Okay, so but before we begin, if you could just please kind of just settle in, okay, get your mind and body sort of in the same place. All right. So in Buddhism, we always start any kind of positive activity or all activities, if possible, with the bodhicitta motivation. So bodhicitta is a Sanskrit word. Bodhi means awakened or enlightened. It's the same as Buddha, or the same root or something as Buddha. And citta means the mind and heart together. So sometimes we have a tendency to put everything in our head. We need to, in this case, bring our heart into the matter also. So mind, heart. So enlightened mind, heart, or awakened mind, heart. What that means actually is the wish to attain enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. Okay? So, we have a tendency to kind of sort of put ourselves first and not really think of others. Sorry, just making some adjustments. So this whole path actually is aimed at others, aimed at benefiting others. Okay. So in this case, if you're Buddhist, you can form the wish that all beings you can form the wish that this practice and discussion this morning helps you to attain enlightenment for others. If you're not Buddhist, if you could just make the aspiration that the time we spent together this morning not only benefits yourself, but benefits others as well. So then we also just take a moment to consider our precious teachers. We have the great good fortune of being our spiritual directors, being Jigme Khyentse Rinpoche, Tuku Pema Wangyal Rinpoche, and Taklung Matu Rinpoche. The three of them have an active part in guiding us and teaching us, caring for us, giving us blessings, and so forth. These three are part of many enlightened beings on this planet whose entire purpose is that, to benefit others. So we just think of them with a great deal of gratitude for what they do for us, respect for their realization, and also asking for their blessings, whatever that might mean to you, so that we can understand the teachings and especially to put them into practice to the very best of our ability. All right. So as I said, we're going to discuss compassion today, the benefits of compassion. So Buddhism talks a lot about compassion, okay? And we also talk about bodhicitta. As I mentioned earlier, bodhicitta is something that is essential and vital to attaining enlightenment. Without bodhicitta, no enlightenment. Okay. However, bodhicitta, this wish to attain enlightenment for the benefit of others, begins with compassion, just ordinary compassion. So, compassion is the wish that others be happy, that they be free from suffering. Okay. A little different from empathy, which is more about kind of feeling the feelings of the other person. So with empathy, as any empaths know, comes very quick burnout. All right. And that burnout arises because we are identifying with the emotions of the other person to the point that we feel those emotions ourselves. And then if you're very sensitive, you not only are aware or feel your own emotions, but also the emotions of others. So that's why for empaths, it can be really hard to be around a lot of people because all of that is just kind of coming in unfiltered. Okay. Compassion is more like you recognize, you are aware of the suffering of others, but you're not caught by that. You're not like swimming in that in the way that you do with empathy. Okay. So compassion has a sort of broader base, let's say, than empathy. So what is the difference then between ordinary compassion and bodhicitta? Okay. Bodhicitta has two aspects. One of them is compassion. The other one is wisdom, or the wisdom of understanding the true nature of reality, of ourselves, and so forth. Okay. So in bodhicitta, we begin with that compassion when we see the vast suffering and of the world, in our case, because that's all we can perceive right now, is the human realm and the animal realm. Okay. So for good or bad, because of the internet, we are much more aware of the suffering that exists all over the world. Okay. So I say for good or bad because sometimes that can be very overwhelming. At the same time, it really gives us a broader picture of what is happening and the depth and breadth of suffering in this world. So when we see that, whether it's, in our close circle, which is usually what we pay attention to, right? We have a lot of, sympathy and compassion for our loved ones. Yeah. They're suffering to the point that, we can't bear their suffering, right? We want so much to do something for them. Okay. But also when we see the suffering all around us, when we consider, the whole planet, then, that can become something quite overwhelming if we are not trained. Okay. So, but when we see that compassion, the wish to do something naturally arises in our heart and mind. All right. So that wish to do something from the Buddhist point of view uh, has to be merged with wisdom and also a much broader view of reality. So we look deeper and deeper and deeper into sort of person suffering, or why am I suffering? Okay. And then kind of what is the cause of that? And then how can we address that cause? Because if we don't address the cause of suffering, then we're just putting a Band-Aid on things. Yes, you can definitely do things to help someone, but if we're not removing the cause, then that suffering will just return again and again and again. All right. So from the Buddhist point of view, the cause of suffering is marikpa, it's called in Tibetan. It means fundamental ignorance. So it's not stupidity. It's not ordinary ignorance, like ignorance is bliss kind of ignorance. Okay. It's a really deep unknowing about how things actually work. Okay. How, for example, our negative or unskillful acts of body, speech, and mind bring suffering, and how our positive, virtuous, skillful acts of body, speech, and mind bring happiness. This basic law called karma, okay, which I've spoken about in earlier videos. So if you want to know more about that, check out one of those other videos. It's really important to know that, because if we know that, then we can take our happiness into our own hands by creating the causes for it. If we don't know that, then we end up doing negative acts in the search for happiness. So we're doing exactly the opposite, of what we need to do to attain that happiness. So what I mean by that is, let's say we're really angry, and that anger is uncomfortable. So that's a kind of inner suffering happening there. And in an effort to get rid of that anger, we slap somebody. Okay. Well, maybe that offers a momentary happiness, right? But that creates this chain reaction of receiving some kind of suffering for ourselves in the future. So that's a really simple. I don't want to go too much into that because it's not the topic that we're talking about today. But so that's why. So what addresses that cause of suffering, this fundamental ignorance, and not just about karma, but about how the mind works, how the world works, how perception is, sort of our notions of the self and things like that. Okay. The way to deal with those things, I'm trying to pick the right word, but let's say overcome those things, is by attaining enlightenment. Okay. So, but we don't want to attain enlightenment, at least in our tradition, just for ourselves. Okay. It's very narrow. It's too narrow. We want to attain enlightenment so that we can benefit others. And benefiting others in that case is helping them to attain enlightenment as well, so that they no longer suffer. Okay. So compassion and bodhicitta are both extremely important in the Buddhist path. So one of the most important benefits of compassion is that compassion leads to bodhicitta, and bodhicitta leads to enlightenment. Okay. So compassion on its most kind of basic level makes us feel better. It makes us feel better, and it makes others feel better. A lot of times when we think about being compassionate versus, let's say, being angry, or, versus anything else, really, any other choice that we might have, compassion feels like weakness. We think it's weakness, right? We think that if we are compassionate to someone, that we're saying that what they did is okay, or what they're doing is okay. All right. That's why we say compassion and wisdom have to be two sides of the same coin. All right. If we don't mix compassion with wisdom, we can get burned out in a sense that we're sort of mixing it too much with, we're getting too involved in the way that I was describing earlier. And we can fall into this thing called idiot compassion. All right. So idiot compassion is when we let others walk all over us and abuse us and use us and all of that, because we think we're on some kind of holy spiritual path that requires us to be a martyr. All right. That is not wise. Compassion doesn't mean that we have to be a doormat. Okay. We can definitely set boundaries, for example, but what's happening in our heart when we set those boundaries is the issue. Okay, it's not that we can't set boundaries. It's that we're trying not to set boundaries with hatred and anger in our hearts. We can do the exact same, have the exact same boundaries, but with love and compassion. Okay. So when we are wisely compassionate, it really does make us feel better. It's something that makes us feel quite happy. All right. And there have been, I've been doing a bit of research for this talk and looking at these, just pulling it up here, scientific studies that show that compassion is something that benefits us, how it changes the brain. Okay. There's something else that I wanted to show you. Hang on a second. Hold on. It's just a quote about from Darwin. Where are we at here? Sorry. Oh, here we go. Okay. Okay, hold on. I'll give it to you now. Oh, it didn't post. Okay. All right. Well, never mind. Let's see if I can get it here. Sorry, guys. Hold on one more second, and then I'll be back with you, my dear friends. Okay. All right. No. Okay. Never mind. So anyway, it was about how, and I'll post it on our page later because I found it very, very interesting and fascinating. There's this idea that this common belief that Darwin said, survival of the fittest, that his whole thing was about kind of the more strong you are and the more competitive you are and sort of you win, that's the thing that helps you with survival. Actually, he didn't say that. And I just learned that today. He never said that. That was something that white supremacists invented and attributed to Darwin. It's interesting, right? So what Darwin said was more along the lines of working together, caring, being sympathetic is the thing that helps societies and people and so forth, even animals, to develop, to survive, right? So compassion is something, and all of these studies are showing that as well. It is something that is natural. It's something that is part of who we are. It's our actual makeup. All right. From the Buddhist point of view, we call that our true nature, or our basic goodness, or our Buddha nature. It's our true nature. And anything that we do that is actually in line with our true nature brings us happiness, feels good, and so forth. Anything that is out of line with that, like violence, for example, doesn't make us happy, makes us feel uncomfortable, even sick. Okay. And that's another interesting factor here, in that the compassion helps us also not only with mental health, which is quite important, general happiness, a feeling of contentment, satisfaction. It also helps our physical health. So once again, that really shows how compassion is our true nature. It's something that helps us survive. If you think about a tree, for example, a tree needs water and a tree needs sun, right? So that tree is designed with leaves and roots that go into the earth, needs the rain. So for us to that, because it's nature, right? So if a tree were, let's say, sentient and it rejected rain, well, it would die, right? Or it rejected sun, it would die. Okay. So in that way, if you want to look at it that way, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? Okay. So okay. Hang on. Okay. So I'm just going to read you some quotes. A growing body of evidence suggests that at our core, both animals and human beings have that compassionate instinct. In other words, compassion is a natural and automatic response that has ensured our survival. All right. So when Buddhism, talks about compassion, it's not just, it shouldn't be seen as this like airy-fairy, soft, weak practice, right? Compassion is absolutely necessary for our survival, benefits our mental health, benefits our physical health, benefits our relationship, not our relationships. Hopefully we have more than one relationship. It not only makes us happy, it makes others happy. So it's like, what's not to love, you guys? What's not to love about compassion? Okay. We might think that anger, sort of closing ourselves off, these kind of like violence or aggression or all of these things, like those are strong and compassion is weak. No, if you look at the mind in those two states, it becomes very clear that compassion is stronger than anger and hatred and all that other stuff. Why? Okay. The mind in the midst of hatred, anger, and so forth is very agitated and unstable. All right. So if your mind is like this, and your breathing is, and your face is red and all of that, you cannot see what's in front of you. You cannot access your basic wisdom. And so you're prevented from actually doing what needs to be done. Okay. You can't, because you can't see. Now, there's a phrase, right? Blind with rage. That saying is there for a reason. Yeah. We become blinded to reality. Then in the midst of this rage, we end up making the wrong decision because we can't see. All right. And it's very painful to be in that state, actually, for ourselves, not to mention for others, right? But even for ourselves. And to understand all these things really requires that we have an awareness, pardon me, an awareness of what is going on inside. Yeah. So we need to see, how do I feel when I'm angry? How do I feel when I'm compassionate? How do I feel when I'm jealous? How do I feel when I'm proud? How do I feel in all these? What's happening in my mind without thinking about the story behind it? Okay. What's actually happening in my mind? All right. So anger, agitating, blinding. Okay. Compassion, your mind is very calm, very spacious. Your heart is open, your mind is open, okay? And then you can see the whole situation much more clearly. You can access your inner wisdom much more freely. And then you can make the correct decisions about what action or non-action needs to be taken in any given situation. All right. So compassion is actually much stronger. I think when people think compassion is a stance of weakness, they're thinking about idiot compassion. In that case, I would agree, right? If we're just going to let everybody walk all over us, abuse us, et cetera, take advantage of us, yeah, that's weak. That's a weak stance, right? But real compassion, wise compassion, is not that at all. Okay, hang on, somebody's saying. Alex. Hi, Alex. It's not the strongest of the species that survives. Thank you. Not the most intelligent that survives. It is the one that is the most adaptable to change. Could be the wrong quote, but that's the one that came to mind. Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. You can find it online, but I don't know. Adaptable to change. Specifically about working together. So, okay. So let's see. What other points do I want to raise here? All right. So I think that's it. Anyway, we're done with the time. Okay. All right. So since this is our conversation today, then also we want to do some meditation based on compassion. Okay. So we will be doing a few minutes of mindfulness of breathing practice. All right. To become more aware, to calm the mind, and so forth. All right. And I talk more about this and give longer instructions for this in other videos. So, please look at that if you're not, if you don't have any experience with meditation or you just want more information. Okay. So, yeah, I won't go too much into that because I want to spend more time on Tonglen. So, Tonglen practice, Tonglen meditation. Tonglen is a Tibetan word. It means giving and receiving. Okay. So what we are giving is our own happiness, and what we are receiving is the suffering of others. Now, I'm completely aware that that sounds contradictory to almost everything I just said. Okay. But the reason that we do this practice, again, is not to be not to become a martyr or, what's the word? Like be a victim or anything like that. Okay. It's just addressing the main obstacle to compassion that most of us have. All right. And that obstacle is putting ourselves before others. All right. And this is a very deeply ingrained habitual tendency that we have. Okay. So this practice is just working with our heart, to try to flip the ego upside down. Okay. To try to just work and get a little bit more able to think of others. Okay. So this practice has 5 steps or stages. The first is just resting the mind. We're going to begin with mindfulness of breathing practice, however, as I said, just to kind of get us present. Okay. Then we'll go into this other practice. So resting the mind is different than trying to concentrate on the breath or focus the mind. It's just kind of letting the mind settle without disturbing it. Okay. We're not distracted. At the same time, we're not particularly focusing on anything. We're just letting the mind settle. And that we just do for a moment. Second stage is working with the texture, working with the visualization. Okay. So we begin by visualizing in our heart center, which is here, right, the middle of your chest. Okay. So we imagine there a very bright white light, right? Like a shining star, like really a lot of light, very clear, bright, and so forth. I'll talk more about it. All right. Then we imagine breathing in dark smoke, like gray smoke, okay, through all the pores of our body. If you find it hard to do that, just imagine that it's coming through your nose instead. So it's a little more narrow. Yeah. Can be easier for some people. So we imagine that we're breathing in this gray smoke. I'm always going to say through all the pores, but again, if you want to just do it through your nose, that's fine. Okay. So we're breathing that in, and all of that smoke that we have breathed in completely dissolves into the white light in our heart center. Okay. So all the particles, completely every single particle. Now we just have that white light again, okay? Then we breathe out that white light through all the pores of our body, okay? So that's just kind of getting used to the process. The third stage is actually the third and fourth stage, but particularly the third stage. Did I say third stage? Yes, is choosing an individual to work with, okay? So there's 4 categories of individual that we can choose. Someone that we love a lot, which is typically where we start because it's easy. It's the easiest way of working with compassion because we already have compassion for them. Someone that we are neutral to. So like we know them, but we don't really care about them. Use the word neutral all the time, but really it means, as Pema Chodron says, it really means couldn't care less. It's just So that can be like distant relative, neighbor, mail carrier, doctor, or whatever. Okay. We know them, we would recognize their face, we may or may not know their name, but we don't have a relationship with them. And that one is really important, actually, because that category of person makes up the vast majority of people that we come in contact with on a regular basis, right? The other people on the road, the other people at work or on Zoom, other people in the store, things like that. Okay. We don't care about them typically, right? We see them as kind of cardboard cutouts, not real people, just someone in my way or someone who's helping me, check out or whatever it is. Okay. Then the third category is someone that we really dislike. So that is a range, from just someone that we find annoying to someone that we habitually dislike. We can also include in there someone that we normally love but are currently fighting with or having a hard time with, okay? All the way up to the person when we think of them, we feel like crying or screaming or this kind of traumatic person. So please don't go there before doing any of these other things and getting used to these other forms of meditation, because if you do, you can re-traumatize yourself, and there's just no point in that, okay? We should only approach that after we've worked with these lighter forms of dislike, from annoyance or someone we just don't like or this kind of thing. When we get really used to that, then maybe we can approach the trauma-inducing person or people, all right? Then the fourth category is oneself. So it's really important, actually, to have compassion for ourselves. Otherwise, we're really blocked from, having full compassion for others. And we're also a sentient being, and we also deserve compassion, okay? And our sense of self-hatred or self-judgment or contempt for ourselves causes us a great deal of suffering, okay? So to work with that is so, so helpful, not just for ourselves, but also for others. Okay. So when we choose this individual, today we're going to choose someone that we love. Okay. We imagine them in front of us, we connect with them, and I'll guide you through all this. Okay. And then we connect with, in this case, like the love between us. Then we consider that person's suffering, whatever it is, physical, mental, emotional suffering. Okay. And then we visualize that all of their suffering takes the form of gray smoke. We breathe that in, dissolves into the white light in our heart center. And then we offer them our own happiness, anything they need, and so forth. And that takes the form of white light. Then when the rays of light touch them, we imagine all their suffering disappears and they're very happy and so forth. Okay. The next stage, the fourth stage, is working with all sentient beings. So that one involves visualizing them all around us and then doing that same process, whatever way they're suffering, connecting with them, considering their suffering, suffering takes the form of gray smoke, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. The final stage is just bringing the mind back to the breath and letting go of the visualization. Okay. So that fourth stage, or fourth stage of sending it out to all beings is so important, because if we need that balance of compassion between thinking of an individual and thinking of everyone. All right. If we just think about all sentient beings in this sort of vague way, our compassion becomes vague also, right? And not that strong, because we can't really relate to them. Okay. On the other hand, if we only have compassion for a few people, like that's our default mode, right? So it's great. It's better than hating them, right? But it's not really enough. So we need both individual and all beings. Okay. All right. So let's start. And as I said, we'll begin with just mindfulness of breathing practice. So I'll go through that instructions quickly. If you want to, pardon me, if you want to learn the other steps, neutral, anger, self, and so forth, you can look at previous videos, especially the earlier ones, because in the later ones, I kind of haven't done Tonglen that much. Okay, so what you have, it's not in the title because I'm not good at all this stuff. So just look in the description, and it should be the first line, guided meditation, practice of exchange, love, or whatever. Okay, all right. So we're going to start the meditation now. Okay, so what I want you to do first is just take the posture. If you happen to be on the floor, then just cross your legs in whatever position in whatever position is comfortable for you. All right. If you're in a chair, just put your feet flat on the floor. All right. Then all the other instructions are the same, whether you're on the floor or in a chair. So you can just put your hands, palms down on your thighs or on your knees, depending on how long your arms are, or one on top of the other, palms up in your lap, or with your fingers on top of each other and your thumbs like that, like you're holding an egg, goose egg, okay? Whichever ways you prefer. Then your back is straight. This is the most important thing because of all the nerves and everything running up and down your spine. So you want your spine to be straight, but not tense like you're standing at attention, okay? Just straight. Back of your neck is also going to be straight, so your chin's going to be tucked in just a little bit. Your arms should be relaxed, so not pressing in, not holding out, just relaxed. Your shoulders should be back a little bit, so the easiest way that I find to do that is just roll them back one time. And then as soon as you do that, you feel sort of your chest open up. Your mouth should be closed but relaxed, tongue resting on the roof of the mouth, breathing through the nose. Ideally, your eyes should be half open. So just look forward and then lower your eyes about halfway. If you find that too uncomfortable for whatever reason, you can close your eyes, especially during the Tonglen practice. But if you can train over time to meditate with them open, it's really better. Okay. All right. So now we have the posture. Now, just bring your attention to the sensation of the breath coming in and out of the nose. So you're going to be focusing sort of at the tip of your nose there. Just be aware of that for a moment. Okay, so mindfulness of breathing practice is to begin by being aware of that sensation of the breath, and then just letting the thoughts come and go, not trying to stop the thoughts. Okay, we can't. So it'd be frustrating if we try. Okay, just let them come and go without getting involved in them. Let them. A thought will arise, it will dwell, it will disappear, be replaced by another thought. Arise, dwell, and disappear like clouds in the sky. Don't get distracted by that. Don't, start following the thought, oh, it's so cold today. Oh my gosh, when is winter going to be over? Oh, I remember winter when I was a kid and I went sledding and blah, blah, blah. And before you know it, the whole time is gone. Okay, this is really normal. Don't feel bad if that happens, but we're trying to avoid that. Okay, just bring the mind back to the breath. That's it. So I will ring the gong to start, and then I'll let you know when we're going to do the Tonglen practice. It won't be long. Okay. Awareness of the breath, relaxed and open awareness of the breath. Letting the thoughts come and go. If you get distracted, no big deal. Just bring the mind back and focus on the breath. Okay, so now we're going to begin the practice of Tonglen. So I'm going to ring the gong again. Just listen to the sound as long as you can hear it and let your mind rest. Now imagine in your heart center a bright white light like a shining star with light going in all directions. Then consider that you're breathing in gray smoke, hot, dark, and heavy through all the pores of your body, and every single particle of that smoke dissolves into the white light in your heart center. Until there's not a single particle left, there's only light. Now breathe out this white light, which is cool, clean, clear, very bright, through all the pores of your body, every single pore emanating a ray of white light in every direction. Okay, now imagine in front of you someone that you love a great deal without too much complication. So, first thing is to really connect in your heart with this person. So, really feel the love that you have for them, how precious they are to you, how dear, how you're so happy when you see them, when you're with them. And also consider the love they have for you, how they care for you and understand you and try to help you, support you. Now consider the ways this person is currently suffering. So maybe they're sick or have some other kind of physical difficulty. Perhaps they're suffering mentally or emotionally from depression or loneliness, anxiety, addiction. And when we think of these things, don't just keep it in your head, but try to really feel like, put yourself in that person's shoes. What does it feel like to have this physical problem or this anxiety or these problems at home or at work? Then, because we love this person so much, the natural tendency arises to want them to be happy, to want them to be free of suffering, no matter the cost to us. So now we imagine that all of their suffering, whatever it is, takes the form of gray smoke, hot, dark, and heavy. And it leaves them and comes to you. And with a great deal of love, compassion, openness, you breathe that in. through all the pores of your body. And all of that smoke completely dissolves into the white light in your heart center. Until every single particle has dissolved into the light. Now consider that you are going to give this person all of your own happiness, just giving it away, your good fortune, along with anything at all that they may need to feel better, and adding to that the wish that they attain full and complete enlightenment in this very life. All of that takes the form of white light, cool, clear, very bright, light and weight. You breathe that out through all the pores of your body, and the light travels to this person that you love. And when the rays of light touch them, all of their suffering just completely disappears, lifting off of them like a great weight being lifted off of their shoulders. They feel so relieved, happy, very peaceful. Picture them in that state. And you feel joyful for having been able to do this for them. Now we're going to do the same for all beings without exception. First, visualizing them all around us. In front, as many beings as we can imagine, stretching all the way to the horizon. To the right, again, as many beings as we can imagine, all the way to the horizon. Same thing, but behind us, all the way to the horizon. And to the left, as many beings as we can conceive of, stretching all the way to the horizon. So now we're in the middle of an ocean of sentient beings all around us. And the first thing we want to do is consider how we are alike, in that each and every being wants to be happy, just like we do. Each and every being wants to avoid suffering, just like we do. So on that basic level alone, we share something very powerful and fundamental with each and every sentient being. We have joys, sorrows, sickness, happiness, a dream about the future, okay? And we suffer. So now we want to consider all the different ways and degrees that all these beings may be suffering under, right? We don't know them, right? So we don't know specifically like we do with someone who's really close to us. But we don't really have to know. Just think about how they may be suffering physically, mentally, emotionally, situationally, okay? And contemplating that suffering, our natural compassion arises, and with it, the wish that they would be free of that suffering and that they would be happy. So then We imagine that all their suffering, whatever it is, however strong it is, takes the form of gray smoke, hot, dark, and heavy. It leaves all of them, and it comes to you with so much openness and courage and compassion. You breathe that in through all the pores of your body. And all of that smoke dissolves into the white light in your heart center. Until not a single particle of smoke is left. There's only light. Now we're going to offer all of these beings your own happiness. Consider that you're giving it away like anything else you might give someone. Your own good fortune, along with anything that they may need to feel better. And adding to that the wish that they attain full and complete enlightenment in this very life. And all of that takes the form of white light. Cool, clear, extremely bright, light in weight. And we breathe out this white light, through all the pores of your body, the light going in all directions as far as the eye can see. And when these rays of light touch all these beings, each individually, their suffering completely evaporates, lifting off of them and disappearing like fog in the morning sun. They feel a tremendous sense of relief, peace, and happiness. And you feel deeply joyful for being able to do this for them. Now you let go of the visualization, gently bringing the mind back to the breath, being aware of the breath, and in the present moment, here and now. All right, so now we have some time for question and answer. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat and I will do my best to answer them. Just going to wait like a minute, less than a minute, probably 30 seconds. So get to it if you have a question, okay? Nothing? Bueller? No? Okay. All right, so then let's do these dedication prayers. If you don't already have them in front of you, there is a link in the comments. In the description. If for some reason you can't open it, please send me a message on Facebook, on our Facebook page, Songtsen Gampo. There we go. We are good. Thank you, Pomo. You're welcome, Angelina. Anyway, let me know by message if you don't have it, okay? And if you don't want to participate in saying these prayers, I totally get it. Don't worry about it, okay? All right. I will have some announcements after those, so stay tuned. All right. So this first prayer we're going to do is prayer to Parnashavati. She's an emanation of Tara, the female Buddha of compassion. And our teacher, Tuku Rinpoche, one of our teachers, gave us this prayer to say, to help finish the pandemic, let's say, okay? So this one we're just going to do once in English, and we'll say the mantra there 3 times. Lady, Holy One, enlightened and compassionate, appear now as the leaf-clad goddess, healer of disease. Do not turn away, but in compassion take myself and all beings of this age of 5 degenerations. Perform your deeds of soothing, purging, and cauterizing all the pains of illness, plagues, and pestilence. Om Pishatsi Panashavari Sawatsola Prashamanai Soa. Om Pishatsi Panashavari Sawatsola Prashamanai Soha. Om Pishatsi Panashavari Sawatsola Prashamanai Soha. Now we're going to say 4 long life prayers. I want to explain that because we're kind of out of time. But anyway, these 4 we do just in Tibetan, starting with praying for the long life of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Kanri wa we ko we shinkam su pendande wa malu chuene chinre si won din sing yam so ye shape kya ka ba tu tengyo shi. Om Swasti Jigme Rocham Seyo Chinlap Ki Kense Dukalu Zin Nudan Chok Sabsum Mishi Doje Taten Chin Tendrum Pe Chin Leta Shin Sho. Om Swasti Tsela Gyamsa Chinlap Tinjun Leilun Sin Takse Gyutru Pemawang Sangsum Nadre Gyabo Taten Leilap Chenten De Shetan Tage Sho. Lama Kunkam Sampo Sowadep Chatuko Tse Ringwa Sowadep Chine Tashinge Pa Sowadep Lama Dandre Wa Me Pa Chingilo. Next prayer we say once in English, once in Tibetan, the next 3 just in English, and then we say this mantra at the end. By this merit, may all attain omniscience, may it defeat the enemy from the stormy waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death. From the ocean of cyclic existence, may I free all beings. Sonandi tamche zikpani tone nye pedranam pamche shing kegana chi baron trupayi sipe sole drowa sho. May bodhicitta, precious and sublime, arise where it has not yet come to be, and where it has arisen, may it never fail, but grow and flourish ever more and more. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain and dispel the miseries of the world. Ever absorbed in the display of divine forms and primordial awareness, appearance, sound, and perception in the state of divinities, mantras, and dharmakaya, may I, inseparable from the practice of the profound and secret great yoga, attain within the essence of mind the state of one taste. Om Vajra Sattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajra Sattva Tenopa Tishta Jeto Me Bawa Sutokayo Me Bawa Supokayo Me Bawa Anurakto Me Bawa Sarva Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sarva Kama Sutsam Me Chittam Shriyang Kuruhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sarva Tathagata Vajrama Me Mutsa Vajri Bhava Samaya Sattva. All right, so announcement time. Okay, so okay, good. So our website link is below. There's a bunch of other links there, our Facebook page and so forth and so on. So if you want to learn more, go there. If you want to sign up for the newsletter, that's the best way possible to know what's happening with us. There'll be a newsletter coming out in the next couple of days. We're doing everything online now, so at least until we are safe to meet in person, but I'm sure even after that, we will continue to do some things online. So if you don't live in the area, you're still free to participate. Every Buddha Day, which I won't go into, but anyway, the next one is this Thursday. We meet and do a practice called sadhana. So we do the Buddha sadhana from 5:30 to 6 on Zoom. So to get the link for that, go to our website, events, and then you'll see Buddha sadhana under that. Night. So we watch a movie together online. Month is The Cup, which is really delightful movie. Maybe some of you have seen it already, but it's worth a second look. It is about a little boy in a Tibetan monastery who's crazy about soccer and wants to see the World Cup. It's just wonderful. So join us for that. That's at 7:00. Then we're going to be doing a bunch of things in February, which is quite exciting. We're going to have an Introduction to Buddhism seminar. We're also going to have a meditation retreat. And then that's like 3 weekends in a row. So we're going to have a 2-day event, Friday and Saturday, Introduction to Buddhism Friday night, and then and Saturday morning, and then Saturday afternoon, 2 hours of meditation. Then the next Saturday will be self-guided meditation. And then the following Friday and Saturday will be, again, a meditation retreat. Okay, that is the Tibetan New Year is on February 12th. That's when all this starts. And those first 15 days of that month are considered really important for practice. They're very powerful days. So that's why we're doing all this in that short period of time. We're also going to be doing a meditation marathon, which is very exciting. First time that we've done that, so forgive us if we make any mistakes, but it's pretty simple. It's just like if you do a walk for a charity or a marathon for a charity. So the people who want to meditate will commit to a certain number of hours of meditation for those 15 days and then ask for donations, ask for donations just like you do for for every hour practice. Maybe someone will give $1 to you for every hour, or $1 to Songtsen from Gampo for every hour of practice that you do, up to the person who is pledging that amount. So all those details will be coming soon. They're not going to be in this newsletter, but they will be in the next newsletter. So think about whether you want to do that, whether you want to commit to a certain, and it can be, as little as 10 minutes a day or whatever, right? And also if you would like to donate to that, okay? This fundraiser a percentage will go to Songtsen Gampo to help cover our costs. And then a percentage of that will also go to saving the lives of animals, okay? So very excited about what's coming up. I hope you are too. If you want to partake in any of that or know about any of the other stuff that we're doing, please be sure to sign up for the newsletter, okay? All right. So thank you so much for joining me this morning. I'm so happy that you guys came, and I just love doing this with you. So I hope to see you soon. Okay. Have a good day. Bye-bye.